less than Greek. Your mouth's a little weak when you open it to see. Are you smart?
I can't stay serious. Okay. Welcome back, guys. I hope that last video helped you as much as it did. If you are not coming from part 1 of this series, then make sure you go check that out first and then come back here. And don't forget to follow all my social media. That is going to be in the link below, and I'll put it right here so that you can see. I'm on Instagram and Snapchat. I don't use Twitter that much, but maybe I'll get into it. I don't know. But yeah, follow all my social media, and we'll stay in touch. So another disclaimer, this is not me telling you that this is what is going to happen for you, or I'm an expert in this field of audition tips and all this stuff, but this is stuff that works for me and what worked for me on my audition day. So I wish I got these tips and tricks when I was in high school and I was in my audition process with the 23 schools that I applied to. But yeah, so I hope it helps you, and just keep on watching, and I'm sure you're going to get a lot out of it. So for the video, I'm going to focus on the process of the audition and some tips to help you on your audition day. And yeah, so let's jump right into it. So NYU was my first audition. I think it was like the early January. I was terrified, like so anxious. NYU has been my dream school since I was like 7. So I was like super nervous. It was the only audition that worked into my schedule. Big thing is to make sure that you have a schedule and deadlines set in place in this process. It's really important. But it wasn't a bad process, so I hope you guys stick around, grab some food, grab some snacks, something to drink, anything, so that you can sit on down and just enjoy this video as much as possible. Alright, let's get into it. So, how did you feel from the beginning? Well, I was slightly tardy. Yeah, I mean, there was a little traffic, so I mean, there was that. So yeah, I started off a little uneasy. I still didn't get my hair or makeup done in time. Yeah, so I was just a little on edge. So we got there right in time, and as we walked in and put our bags down, and well, as I put my bags down, Chris Anderson came in, the director of admissions. He came in and he told us what the day would be consisted of. So yeah, I was like anxious up until the day of my acceptance letter. NYU has been my top choice for forever, and I'm going to keep on saying that until it's drilled in your minds, because it's the truth. So when I left my audition, I was actually a little anxious more than ever, so that was a big thing. But anyways, let's get into the tips, okay? Okay, tip number 1, arrive an hour and a half earlier to get yourself settled. It's super important. New York is busy, especially on audition days. Tip number 2, make sure you drink water. Tip number 3, make sure that you get a good night's rest. Super important, you don't want bags the next day. Okay, we don't want that. Tip number 4, make sure that you have everything ready the night before in a little duffel bag, preferably. Tip number 5, regardless if you sing or not during your audition, make sure that you avoid dairy and any kind of products like that that will strain your vocal cords. You don't want that. Definitely not. And drink lots of tea. Tip number 6, make sure that you take cheesy videos. I'm going to put one at the end of the video so that you can see what it was like when I came out of my audition. I'm so gracious that my friend was able to take this video. If he didn't take this video, then I think I would have been like, it wouldn't have been the same. And it's so surreal to even think that I'm here now. I mean, it's crazy, but it's amazing, and I'm so glad that I have videos from my audition day and up until that day. So yeah, take videos and memories, and you'll love it. And if you're a parent and you're watching this, take videos of your kids as much as they tell you not to. What happened during your audition? So I auditioned for musical theater, but I did want to showcase some other elements besides acting. So we were held in this large room, and once they were ready to take us, they took us up in groups upstairs, and then that's when we settled down with our group to get ready to go into different audition rooms for the different activities. I mean, or audition, or whatever it's called. The singing, the dancing, and the acting. So what's great about this audition, other than other auditions, is the fact that you get to choose which audition you want to go into first. So I chose to go to the dance audition first because I wanted to loosen out my body and wake up. It was early in the morning. I thought that was best for me. It may be different for you, so do whatever's comfortable with what you want to do. There were about 15 people in a room, and they did jazz and like a Broadway style ballet, like all those 3 elements combined. So make sure that you take that into consideration. If you don't have background, if you don't have any experience with that, that's no problem. Just try your best. They want to see that you're trying and that you're putting a commitment into it. So during the audition, they had 2 assistants in the front so they can aid you in the audition. It's really helpful if you're like struggling with what step is coming next. So they definitely help you. They were super, super sweet, and we got to talk to them afterwards. Tip number 1, stretch ahead of time. Tip number 2, wear comfortable clothing that isn't too loose or too tight so that they can see the shape of your body and the movement when you're dancing. Tip number 3, pin your hair back so they remember what you look like. You don't want any flyaways either, so make sure that you just gel that back or whatever you want to do. It's super important that you have like an emergency kit with all the little things, even the girls, you know what I mean, an emergency kit. Tip number 4, focus on yourself. Don't worry about anybody else. Tip number 5, do not be afraid to ask for clarification. Ask questions, it's no problem. Tip number 6, do not look scared. Just be confident and comfortable with what you're doing. You're gonna do fine, it's no problem. And don't look intimidated, it's okay. So then I went on to singing. I sang 2 songs. I sang Funny Valentine, and then I sang Better from Little Women. So singing isn't my strong suit, but I was a little uncomfortable with the setup of the audition for this part. In all honesty, I just want to put that out there, just because that's me. This might be different from others. Again, the disclaimer at the beginning. So I'm going to explain the setup for you before I explain to you why it was a little uncomfortable for me. So when you went in, there was an accompanist, I cannot say the word, accompanist. You know what I mean. And a judge. And the judge had a tablet that they were taking notes on. So just outside of the audition room was a line of chairs, and we were in our groups like we were put in before. And in this line of chairs, we were just sitting and waiting, and the walls were very thin, so you could hear the person that was auditioning in the room. And the people that were going up were just amazing. Like, I want you guys to know that, yes, it is very competitive to get into Tisch. Like, very competitive. But I think at that moment, I was just so intimidated, and I was, like, losing focus, and I was getting really nervous and anxious, and I didn't know what to do. So I had to block them out. I had to block everybody out and really just, excuse me, and stay in my zone, make sure that I was concentrated and focused on everything that I prepared for up until this day. So that's what you want to make sure that you're doing. A little side note, what's great about the studio that I'm in this year and this semester, we focused a lot on voice and speech. That was one of our classes. I can do a video on that if you guys like. But anyways, the voice and speech class focuses a lot on staying connected to partner. It's so helpful, and I think that's something that I would have been able to use during this audition process. But yeah, it was amazing. I was able to focus so much afterwards, like in the class and everything, and then I realized, I was like, wow, okay, so like this is what you need to focus on, like during an audition, is when you're in a room and there's like during your auditioning, like in the future, in the near future, when you're auditioning and there's like 100 people that are speaking and yelling and going over their monologues and singing or whatever the case may be, and you just have to stay like super invested and engaged into partner and make sure that you're concentrated. So that's something that you will learn along in the future, definitely. So tip number 1, make sure that you have a folder or a binder, preferably a binder, with everything ready from the first music sheet to the second music sheet in order. Yeah, just make sure that you're prepared. It's super important. They want to see that. Tip number 2, command the room. So go in and make sure that nobody's eyes are going to be taken off of you. You want to make sure that you walk in very confidently, like you're here and you have a purpose. Tip number 3, make sure that you slate. As soon as you walk in, practice at home. Make sure that you are practicing to the point where it's just second nature to you, and that when you do it on the day of, you won't have to think about it a second time, and it's just natural. Tip number 4, if you're comfortable with regular auditions and you have the experience of regular auditions, make sure that you stay focused and you can block everybody out, because that's what, you can obviously do. Tip number 5, don't worry about the judges taking notes. That they're going to be taking notes on their tablets, so just don't worry about it. You just stay focused on what you're doing, okay? Don't worry about it. I think I freaked out a little bit, but I wasn't aware that they were going to be doing that. I thought they were just going to be staring at me the whole time. But for different auditions, they'll be doing that, and other auditions, they won't. So just stay engaged and know that they're paying attention, that they've been doing this for years. So the last tip is to make sure that if you cannot block people out, that you try to stay focused and maybe listen to some music or something like that to take your mind off of the audition that's about to happen. But don't worry, it's going to be great. So next is the acting portion. Yay, my favorite! And I hopefully it's your favorite too, because it was mine and I was super, super excited. So anyways, my 2 monologues that I did were Talk Radio by Eric Bogosian and Slideshow by Miguel Pinheiro. And for which I prepared my 2 monologues 2 weeks before the audition. Make sure that you guys are prepared and that you have the time to do this. If you are juniors, make sure that you're doing this right away. If you're a junior watching this, please get it done now. Start looking now for things that are comfortable. If you can get advice from a drama teacher or something like that. My drama teacher helped me a lot. It was great. Shout out to Mr. Sandler. Mwah! Love ya. Oh, also, seniors, if you are working on this now, make sure that you're doing it now. Auditions are coming up soon, so make sure you're memorizing, you're understanding your text, super important. So before you come into the room, make sure that you're taking big, deep breaths. It's super important that you're engaged and you understand your character really well, so make sure that you're getting into character before you walk into the room. When I walked into the room, I was outside. Okay, I was outside of my audition room, and I was the last one to go up of the day. Yeah. And I think I was. No, there was a couple people after me, but I was the last one in my group to go up. And I was sitting outside, and I was going over my stuff, and then my contact fell out, and I was like, what the heck? I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening to me right now. Why is this happening right now at my NYU audition? I was like, okay, so I stuck my contact back in, and I was like, okay, I'm good, all right. And then I walked in, and then I did my slate, and then I started my monologues, and then it was good. Yeah, so it was fine. But it was hard, because I couldn't see anything, so I was walking in, and I was, hi! But, acting, so you gotta make sure you can see. No, but, I walked into a large empty room, and there was a judge, and she was taking notes, and she was so sweet. Afterwards, she asked me a bunch of questions, but I'll get into that soon. Tip number 1, don't wear contacts. I'm just kidding. Tip number 2, you can use a chair, but if you do, make sure that you practice with it ahead of time. Tip number 3, make sure that you slate and articulate. Make sure that you're not saying it too fast. This is your time, remember that, so use it wisely. Tip number 4, get into character before coming in. It really helps, trust me. Tip number 5, make sure that you get into some type of outfit or character choice for your clothing. And it doesn't really have to go along with your character, but make sure that it's fitting. I wore all black. What questions did the judge ask you? So the only questions that they asked me the entire day was with the judge. And that was the end of the acting portion. So she asked me a bunch of questions. I'll go over that in a second. So she asked me why I wanted to act. And as soon as she asked me, I was so overwhelmed. I was like, I can't believe that I'm in this NYU audition. Now, I'm obsessed with NYU, so I'm sorry I keep saying that, but it's the truth. But anyways, yeah, I was like super, super overwhelmed, and just really, it was just happy tears. And I was just super nervous because I was like, this is everything that I've been working so hard for my entire life. So I just busted out in tears during the audition interview. Yeah. Don't do that, guys. Try not to do that. But yeah, I was super passionate. I mean, I don't think she took it in a really bad way. I don't think at all. But yeah, I was just really overwhelmed and passionate So when I was explaining why I wanted to act and why I wanted to be there. So she asked me what I was passionate about besides acting. So the next question she asked me was, what does she think that I would be doing if I weren't acting? So a few tips. Number 1, be honest. Number 2, be prepared. Number 3, be yourself. So be prepared to ask questions. They're going to ask you that in every audition that you go to. So make sure you have 1 or 2 questions that you can ask them. But make sure that it's not something that you can look up online, because that's something that they'll be like, dude, seriously? Tip number 4, don't be nervous. Don't be overwhelmed. Just be comfortable. Tip number 5, listen to the question and stay in the moment and make sure that you're listening to what they're saying so that you can respond and it can be an effective conversation. Alright guys, those are all the tips and tricks, my audition day, my experiences with my NYU audition. I hope that it helped you. And yeah, your audition is going to go well. Just stay positive and you're going to do great. It's going to go well. Whatever audition, if you're not even applying to NYU and you're looking at this for just ideas and tips for another audition, then it's okay. You're gonna do well. It's gonna go great. Just stay confident, be comfortable, and yeah, I hope it goes well for you. I'll be praying for you guys, and yeah, make sure, again, that you follow all my social media, and that you subscribe, and you click that little bell, his friend, right next to the big red button, and yeah, so I don't know why I have an accent now, but you will. This is a horrible accent, but it's alright. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and that you keep sticking around for more. Alright, I'll see you next time. Bye!